It's hard being neurodivergent because we amass an array of experiences that lead us to conclusions, and the conclusions lead us to fatalism and self-fulfilling prophecies. People rejected you when you were young, you were teased at school, you were bullied in college, you were targeted at work, you never found a safe place in your community or a sense of acceptance, and you develop a string of logic that leads you to conclusions like, I shouldn't put myself out there, it's not worth making friends, getting close to people, I'll just get burned, I'll just get rejected, I'll never feel safe, and I'll never be accepted by other people. And there's a certain omniscience about that, this ability to mind read, to fortune tell, which are cognitive distortions that we develop as a result of stress, negative experiences, and complex trauma. And as a result of that, we presume to know what the future will hold for us, because our past has held this thing, our present and our future, therefore, are just going to replicate that experience, those array of experiences. We already know how our life is going to turn out. We already know what other people are like. We already know what our neurodivergence is like and how it's going to show up and how it's not going to be accepted and the challenges we're going to face. They're all going to be consistent with what we've had up to this point. And that might be the case, and it might also be the case. But when you get locked in this mindset of assuming to know what the future will hold and mind reading other people as thinking you're a freak and not liking you and they're not going to accept you and they just think you're a weirdo, and then fortune telling that you're never going to find social acceptance, that you're never going to find the embrace of community, that you're never going to be fully seen, heard, validated, and welcomed by other people. I mean, that's self-fulfilling prophecies. And that is also self-sabotage. Because if you confine yourself to that box, if you let your past write your present and your future, then it's only going to be a legacy of suffering. We have a right to some level of contentedness, even joy, and we have to stake our claim to it. We can't believe because society has told us maybe up to this point that we don't deserve any better, that is all we're ever going to get, and that we should just settle for that. And we can't let just these negative experiences, as great and substantial as they may be, write our story. We can't let them confine us to a narrow box. We can't let them prevent us from experiencing the full gamut of experiences that we are entitled to as human beings on this planet. If we stick with that and we don't come out of that box, it's the antithesis of a growth mindset, a fixed mindset. We believe that we are only one way, that life is only one way, and people are only one way. Nothing can be rewritten. The course of our life can't be changed, and people are never going to adjust their expectations, their neurotypical ableistic expectations, and accommodate our differences and accept us for who we are. And if you can step out of that mindset for a second and reframe it, we can look at it like, maybe I can grow as a person. Maybe I can develop. Not necessarily learn better masking, camouflaging, compensation strategies. Of course, that can help just as much as modulating and just adjusting in certain social situations can help. But maybe growing into self-acceptance, learning to embrace authenticity in a balanced way by modulating. Maybe other people can learn to accommodate us, or maybe we need to look elsewhere for the people that are going to accept our differences and not be willing to settle for people that make us feel like we have to compromise our authenticity. And I'm not saying here that you shouldn't, modulate yourself, because as I said before, modulation is really important in social situations, but make you compromise yourself to the extent that you can't ever show up as your authentic self in any setting and can express your needs, set boundaries, and be accommodated. Giving grace in social situations and mercy if there's a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, as is often the case, especially with the double empathy problem and interacting with neurotypicals. If we can step out, we can kind of look at things a little bit different and go, hey, maybe I can grow and maybe I also can choose. I can develop as a person, and I can also start changing who I spend time around, the situations I put myself in, and what I'm willing to tolerate and what I'm willing not to tolerate. With that new frame of mind, your experiences can change. You can fortune tell and you can mind read till the cows come home, but it's also like going down a blind alley, because you're using your previous experiences as the acid test for all future experiences. And it may just be at that time, when those experiences happen, those negative experiences, that you were of a certain mindset and that the people you're around were of a certain mindset. And maybe they weren't the kind of quality people that you can access now if you look elsewhere, and if you're willing to set the bar a little bit higher and to be stronger with your personal boundaries and your expectations for yourself and also for other people. And I think often as a result of these negative experiences, the bar is set very low. We don't believe ourselves worthy of anything better, so we choose, or at least let people in to our lives who aren't healthy, who are even outright toxic, bullies, manipulators, people who don't care about our feelings, who are inconsiderate, self-absorbed, who don't self-reflect and do the personal development work and blame us when there's a misunderstanding, when really it's two different neurotypes communicating across a divide. And that both people need to assume some degree of responsibility for miscommunications and misunderstandings. The people that you let into your life when you set the bar low are going to be people who confirm for you that perception. They reaffirm it by basically enacting the same patterns that led you to these negative conclusions. So if you can actually recognize that you have a choice and you exercise that choice in a mindful, growthful way, your present and your future can change course. It's not so much that everybody is going to be a certain way and all your experiences are going to be a certain way and that you are only going to ever be a certain way. It's that you can grow. Things can change. You can raise the bar. You can learn to modulate. You can choose the company and the context to be one that is going to be more likely to be accepting and accommodating of you and your differences and your neurotype. Have you found yourself sometimes confined to this fatalistic, resigned, self-fulfilling prophecy kind of approach? Have you been able to come out of it and adopt a growth mindset? Have you been able to raise the bar and change the quality of people you let into your life? Have you been able to express your needs and your expectations and to have adult, assertive communication, crucial conversations with people about those things, and be able to kind of screen out people that weren't good for you so that your experiences could change and that the course of your life in turn could change, that you could find acceptance, maybe closeness, intimacy, understanding, better social success, and a sense of camaraderie with people who see you for who you are and accept you for who you are. I would love to hear all about your experiences.